What is Catholic Unite? Where did they come from? Who are the faces behind it? And what is this particular interest that they have with Catholic songs? I know you're probably sitting somewhere and wanting to know the lyrics of a song, Alfajiri ya kupendeza lyric. And all of a sudden you find that Catholic Unite appears as one of the options. You click on it and you still see the name. What are these guys eventually up to? Hi, my name is James Apollo, and I'm here to give you a detailed overview about the story behind this name. I was born in a city called Nairobi, Kenya. This is the city that made me who I am today. I grew up in a very prayerful environment. Both of my parents were Catholic. Sundays were religiously for mass, and that was non-negotiable. There was no democracy about it. I don't remember any period in my teenage years when I did not serve as an altar boy. I mean, after all those evening prayers, how could you not be an altar boy? In fact, it was something very admirable for me. Serving close to the Eucharist, being there with the priest, doing everything. I went to high school, and I can't remember being interested in any other club apart from the Young Catholic Association. I went there, I was very active, became a leader, and I was very shy. I could not even talk to ladies. In fact, alcohol and drugs were things I was reading in textbooks. What do you mean after the holidays you came and you went clubbing? What do you mean? These were things I was reading in textbooks. I was not alcoholic. I did not talk to girls, and I was even poised to become a priest. I finished high school, went back to my local parish, and during one of the first meetings, I remember I was elected as the vice chairperson. Back then it was a very small parish, St. Mary Immaculate. It was a very small church. I was elected as the vice chairperson. I took this as a challenge, being very young, but I knew I had something on my side. I had a very staunch commitment to serving people and to serving God. I took up this challenge, I was later elected as the moderator of the parish, of the youth group. And truth be told, I was poised to be among the first priests of that church. The signs were there. This person was attending mass, every practice of the choir. I was doing everything that a young Catholic wishes to do or direct them to the Lord. Everybody knew, even the priest knew that I was going to join the seminary until I met a lady. I fell in love and I started a relationship. But then, that is not the point. During this particular period in my leadership, I noticed things that really disturbed me. Things that I knew could only be solved either through prayer or having a background in computer science. I knew technology will solve some of these things. I could not understand why some members were very uncooperative. We had projects, doing different projects, selling missalettes, and I could not understand why everybody could not turn out and be excited about doing it. And this was bringing money to the group. I couldn't understand why other parishes would fill buses going to an event and yet would struggle to fill a Nissan. These were very strange things going on in my mind. And I had this idea of an application. This application is also part of Catholic Unite, which I'll be able to explain later. It will just help in trying to make members active. Check the register. You could be able to mark the register. You could be able to record the contributions of a group, even if it's the choir. You can be able to select songs using the application. And I believed that using this application, one would be able to see where do they rank in terms of commitments, because there are points allocated for everyone. But then, even before I could implement that, I had to leave my leadership to this younger generation. I left, and all of a sudden, I was on this other side of the leadership. And it was very strange. All my years I've been serving as a leader, serving people, and I found myself in a very unfamiliar territory. I've never been a member before. And I had to acclimatize to that situation, to be able now to see things through the eyes of a member. And it was a very interesting journey, because all of a sudden I now tried to understand the challenges that leaders go through that they cannot see themselves. I could be able to hear the conversations that happened before the meeting, and the behavior that happens during the meeting. I could understand why a leader could ask a question and none of the members or everyone is silent about it. Only one person contributes and decisions are passed. Decisions that, looking back in retrospect, you could not understand how all these minds could be able to come up with such a decision. I had friend groups that we could be able to go, interact, and there were very weird behaviors amongst us that I could not understand. During this period is also the period where it is important for me to bring this at this particular time, because you remember the relationship that I said I started. After 8 good years, unfortunately, it came to an end. Very traumatizing. This is because everyone in my parish knew that these two would get married. And then all of a sudden, everything ends. Everything crumbled. And every finger was pointing at me. To cope with that, of course, you remember that alcohol that I was also reading in books? I now started seeing it in wines and spirit. I was a champion. I was a champion in clubbing. I was a champion in sherehe. I did everything that I saw being done in movies. I was a champion in drugs. I took everything that I could afford to take because I had to cope with that. I went into this pit, this dark hole that it was very difficult to get. I even started missing masses. I left God for a while. And during this particular period, I still had the dream that we could be able to fix some of these leadership issues in church. I could help these leaders to be able to sort out, to make the work easier. And the idea of an application was still ringing in my mind. There was something deeper that I saw. There's some issues that cannot be solved using technology. And looking around, I could also see some patterns in my friendships, for some patterns also in the groups that I was in, that there are some conflicts that technology could not solve. And I came to understand that there is a psychological thing that is happening within the group that one needs to understand deeply so that you can be able to lead these people very well. I started in being interested in social psychology and be able to have an idea of what goes on in someone's mind, especially while they're in a group of people. What is this thing that makes someone behave in a certain particular way when they're with people and not when they're alone? What is the relation between behaviors and attitudes? What is the power of the situation? And probably if leaders could be able to understand that when you talk to people in a certain particular way, they'll be able to respond this way. And they'll be able to understand why are there cliques within groups, why are there relationships within groups, so that they don't find these things as strange. And for that reason, I came with this idea about Catholic Unite. Catholic Unite essentially is building a community of Catholics and Christians alike who will be able to share their experiences, especially in groups. And because I've done a lot of research about social psychology and group thinking, I'll be able to give insights about what really happens in your small Christian community, in your choir, in your youth group, and even in your friends group, even at work. You'll be able to understand why a certain person behaves in a certain type of way and why they're able to, and why you're able to respond. Is it because of who you are as a person, or is it because of whatever is happening around you that you're able to say what you say and think and react about what you're reacting? Catholic Unite is all about helping Christians to be able to come together, share the experiences, and see how they can live harmoniously together inside these groups, and even help leaders to understand exactly what is happening at every particular stage of their leadership and of their group. And I'm hoping that you'll join me in this journey as we try to unearth all these things, all these pains, all these joys, all these sufferings, all this confusion that has been happening in groups, so that we may be able to put our minds together and be able to see how best can we help each other build a united group and make our experiences, even in this group, as joyful, as fulfilling as it can be. Because I know by the time you want to join a group, you really want the best experiences out of it. You want to be able to construct any prejudice that comes when you join a group, what happens between members. And I believe that with you and me, if we join our heads together, we can be able to share our ideas and be able to help a Christian, a Catholic somewhere, to be able to behave in a certain, or to understand whatever happens around them.